The NFL season is in full effect. Now with the schedule release, we can do record predictions for all 32 teams. Initially, we're going to just take a look at the schedule, the international games coming up, the crazy holiday schedule, as well as strength of schedule. What teams are we looking out for? There's still a lot to talk about, but I still have to finalize kind of every single team. I'll mention last year's predictions just to kind of have some credibility here because I thought that we did pretty good last year. However, didn't post a lot of the predictions for certain teams. So instead of doing it by division, we're just going to break down each team individually. If you're new here, welcome to the Big Z Breakdown. I'm Mike Zanetti, and this is going to be a crazy upcoming season, so stay tuned. But yes, looking at the strength of schedule firsthand, the Cleveland Browns have the easiest schedule. Now, strength of schedule, we all know is, it's deceiving. To be fair, their Chiefs weren't as great last year, only a 6-win team. There's a lot of questionable teams. You can say, like, the Patriots aren't going to be a 14-win team again. But besides the point, you can probably look at the over-under wins for each team that they're going to face, and then you can, do the math on all the... I'm not a mathematician, but as far as the Browns, they do have an easy schedule, like the Saints schedule, the Bengals, the Falcons, I'm not high on at all, the Lions. Lions finished last in their division. But yeah, just scrolling through here, it's just kind of funny how teams that are going to be top 5 in the Jets, who have a middle of the pack schedule, .517. The Dolphins have apparently the second hardest schedule, and they are rebuilding, so they might just have the first pick. Bears have the hardest schedule, but they're a proven team. Cardinals have a tough schedule. Raiders have there's just a lot of weird teams, but yeah, I mean. I think in terms of what stands out for 2026, I'm looking at, teams that finished last in their division and then asking myself, hey, can they jump the gun? Can they go up to first place? And you can look at a couple candidates in the Minnesota Vikings now with Kyler Murray in a quarterback that could probably help them. J.J. McCarthy didn't do anything last year. Carson Wentz is arguably better. So I think he deserves a chance, especially with the bad coaching on the Cardinals. I'm also looking at the Giants with John Harbaugh. That's definitely a team that could potentially bounce back. The Panthers are a team that I think takes a step back, but as far as teams that finished on the bottom of the divisions, yeah, it's definitely interesting. The Lions, kind of pretty obvious. But yeah, I think that's about it. The Titans as well should have a solid year, but I think we're taking too long on this. So let's look at the Thanksgiving slate, because now there is a Thanksgiving Eve game. Wednesday, we're going to have, it's just weird to see Thanksgiving Eve. So Wednesday night, Packers, Rams, they're going to have a full jam-packed slate. Lions, Bears, Dan Campbell versus Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson still has not beat his former head coach. Going to be an interesting matchup. And again, we can't predict injuries, but there's still a lot that could happen. So Eagles, Cowboys, the afternoon slate. Bills, Chiefs, the night game. And then Black Friday, there's now, I think, 3 years in a row they've done this, but maybe 4. I'm not quite sure. Broncos, Steelers. Interesting matchup. Shouldn't be the best. I mean, we'll see. Aaron Rodgers coming back. Just saw that notification. But yeah, then the Christmas slate gets even crazier. So Christmas Eve, Texans, Eagles. And a lot of the holidays do fall on actual days there's supposed to be football. Thursday is Christmas Eve. Thursday is also New Year's Eve, I believe. So yeah, there's a lot of games. Sunday slate, Ravens, Browns, Jets, Patriots. There's actually a lot of games. I don't know why I said Christmas. Okay, Christmas games, there's 3 games. It's just a lot of games. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of just a quick overview of what we're going to be looking at. Then we also have the international slate, first game in Australia. I thought it was weird how the NFL has certain games always at certain times. Like, it's always 1 p.m. Eastern time or 8:35 at a night game. 8:35 here in Eastern time, wherever you live, is the next day in Australia at like noon. So my question is, are the Niners and Rams just going to be in Melbourne for the first 2 weeks before the season starts and then get used to that time, and then they have to come back to the U.S. and play on their time the next week after? So it's just the time changes kind of, the jet lag is definitely going to screw a lot of things up, because you can't just, I guess you could just stay on your own time. It's going to be so weird for them though. But yeah, that's the first game of the year. Then we have Ravens, Cowboys in Brazil. a really weird slate, a really weird spot to put this in. Just plug it in right at 4:25 with a few other games going on. And I know they couldn't put it as the Friday game because of the Broadcasting Act of 1961, I believe, where you can't have college and high school games cross over. So that's the second week of September, I believe, till December. So that's a thing. Colts Commanders, this is where all the London kind of games start. 9:30. I personally love 9:30 Eastern time games. I'm sure the West Coast people are not too happy to wake up at 6:30 in the morning to watch football. I think the earlier, especially on a Sunday, 9:30, why not just get up, turn the, I don't know. That's just kind of me. But Colts Commanders is an interesting game. We had a lot of underwhelming kind of, international games in terms of the early slated games. Eagles Jaguars should be a good game, and then the week after it's Texans Jaguars. I'm gonna be interested in that game. Saints Steelers. You got Bengals Falcons, and a lot of these games should not personally be division matchups, and I like how a lot of them are AFC, NFC opponents because that conference record does matter. And if you do play an AFC or worse, a division team like the Texans Jaguars game, that's going to be really unfortunate if, it is kind of, I don't even know if it's fair, but the Texans have to go to London. Jaguars have already played there the week before. I've already put it down for the Jaguars are going to win and lose. They're going to either beat the Texans or the Eagles. They're not winning both of those games, and they're not losing both of those games in my eyes. But and then this last game, Vikings-Niners. The Niners have to play 2 international games against 2 NFC teams, and the Vikings are not a bad team. Not that any international game is going to be a bad kind of game, or any game you can win, lose any game, but they got to play the Rams week 1, and then week 11 they got to play the Vikings in Mexico City. That's just unfortunate because if you lose those 2 games, that's one in the division, and then it's another NFC opponent. So it's just really unfortunate. But I did want to kind of show you my predictions from 2025. So just to recap, because I feel like we're 7 minutes in, kind of first video back, so just bear with me. But this kind of picture I'm showing right now, it is a screenshot from camera roll. I just want to show you the date. Pretty much the September 1st, 2025. Now I did finalize these records and had the Patriots. I have them right here. So Patriots were at 7-10, but still, we'll talk about the good first. So let's just kind of take a look at it in full. Now, with any predictions, you're gonna have good predictions. You're gonna have bad predictions. Personally, I just love kind of seeing what's going to happen, looking at all of the 272 regular season games, and obviously have not predicted those yet. Once we dive into the weeds, we're going to go through every team individually. And last year, honestly, there wasn't many bad predictions, so we could probably just go through the divisions. Bills 13-4, they ended up going 12-5, 1 game off. Dolphins, as bad as they looked, they kind of blew up their team, but they went 7-9. So that was very interesting. 2 games off there. I will preface just before I go into the weeds. Here's the thing. 1 game off, I think that's pretty sharp. 2 games off, I think I'll give you 2 games. 3 games off of a record, it's kind of like pick your poison, right? 3 games is pretty big margin in terms of, you pick a team to go 9-8, they go 6-11, and that's technically the 3 window, or they go 11-6, and that's still the 2-3 window. So it's definitely tough to kind of say if the records are a good job or not. But to put it into perspective, 19 of the 32 teams I was within 2 games. 12 of the teams I was 1 game off, and 4 records I predicted correctly. There's a couple things wrong with, just because when you do your record predictions, you have to do them once and not look at them again, or just look at them all throughout the week. Because the problem is, I continue to look at this and I continue to change. So you could see right here, I have the Chargers at 11-6, and down there they are 10-7, which they did end up going 11-6, which is pretty funny. But yeah, looking at the AFC West, the Bengals obviously had a lot of injuries, 6-11, 5. That was 5 games off. The Ravens went 8-9. Lamar had a couple injuries. Browns 4-13. I think that's pretty fair. They went 5-12. Chiefs, definitely an underwhelming season. Broncos owned the AFC. That was 3 games off. Chargers got correct. The Texans was on the money. Everyone thought I don't want to grossly say everybody, but not a lot of people had the Jaguars doing 13 wins. I had them at 10-7. And then you fly past to the NFC, where I thought the Commanders were going to do pretty great. I thought they were going to be contending for a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, Jaden Daniels battled with injuries. That defense looked terrible, and now they're probably going to be a top 10 team this year. Eagles predicted that record correct. Cowboys, they tied, so it's sometimes I guess you got to predict a tie throughout the NFL season. I feel like that's got to be on somebody's bingo card. Will there be a tie in the 2026 NFL season? There's always one. It doesn't make any sense. Giants, pretty spot on. The NFC North, all within 2 games off. I mean, again, not a hard division to predict because it's so competitive. You know, a lot of these teams are going to be around the range of winning records, especially this year. I think a lot of those teams, Vikings are probably going to win 9-10 games. I don't see one of these teams, unless a crazy catastrophic injury, I'll knock on the wood for them. I feel like there's no real reason that shouldn't happen. So we can start addressing the bad. Colts, 4-13. You know, they went 8-9. They did have a decent stint until Daniel Jones blew out his Achilles. And then I think they went on a losing streak with Phillip Rivers. But besides the point, I still don't like that team this year, even with Daniel Jones coming back off the Achilles. The defense doesn't really move me. So, I mean, maybe that's so I am a Texans fan if you see the flag behind me. So it is kind of like, I don't know. So you could call it bias. You could call it whatever. But I try and be pretty general in terms of making predictions just because of being an NFL fan. Now, the NFC West, got the Niners correct. Rams was one off. Cardinals, I don't know why I thought they were going to go 8-9. I just figured Kyler Murray would play the whole season, but they just blew up that operation way too quick. Jonathan Gannon got fired. Everything went off the walls. Seahawks 6-11. I personally just didn't trust Sam Darnold. I just didn't. And that was kind of the preface was like, yeah, Sam Darnold's going to have to prove it. And, man, did Clint Kubiak do a great job with that system, and it's just the bootlegs that they've done. Awesome job. Let's go to the NFC South as the last kind of team, but Buccaneers kind of overrated them a little bit. I know it's only 2 games off, but this is just a really weak division. I really overestimated Todd Bowles. Now they did get Zach Robinson on the offensive side, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna do this season. Panthers got that on the nose. Falcons, I don't think they're going to be very good this year. Maybe Michael Penix shows something, prove himself, but Kevin Stefanski, first-year head coach, I feel like there's going to be some wheels turning in terms of little rust, in terms of getting a new offensive play caller, getting a new head coach. You're not just going to figure those things out. Now, probably offense won't change much considering Bijan's going to just run the ball. Saints 3-14, they went 6-11. I think the Saints bounce back mightily. But just to look at the full slate, pause it, zoom in, whatever you want to do. I can give you the numbers. There were 12 teams. I was within 1 game or got the correct record. There were 2 games. There's 19 teams. I was 2 games off. And then there was 26 out of the 32 teams where I was 3 games. So I think that's pretty fair, pretty solid. And you're always going to have those kind of big, crazy predictions that you don't see coming, like the Seahawks. There were a good 6 teams where I was just way off. Patriots was way off on. Bengals, you can count injuries. Chiefs, not counting the Colts. I think out more than 3 is definitely whoa, missed that one. Cardinals, Seahawks, and then you could say, the Commanders was clearly a huge miss. So 6 teams where you were just shanking one into the water if you're golfing. I mean, it was just pretty bad. But I don't know. You could let me know what you think in terms of the recap of how you feel about this season. I think 2026, there's not going to be many bad teams. I mean, you have your fair share of bad teams, Dolphins, Cardinals, Jets. You could say maybe the Giants. But, I mean, outside of Cardinals, Dolphins, Jets, I think the Browns can be competitive. I think the Titans can be competitive. I think the Giants can be competitive. I don't like the Falcons at all. I don't like the Panthers at all. I don't think the Packers are going to do crazy. But that's kind of what we're going to be doing in terms of after this. I'm just kind of going through. I actually wrote out all the schedules. It's now a matter of going through each game and making sure I don't make the same pick twice. Because the last thing I want to do is have the Dolphins beat the Packers this week, hypothetically, and then I put the Packers beat the Dolphins in the other. So I want to make sure they're all in the same line of gratuity. So thank you everyone so much for joining me on this episode of the Big Z Breakdown. Just kind of breaking down the schedule release, also talking about just what we're going to be expecting in terms of the relaunch of this channel as the first long-term video in a while. So appreciate everyone hanging out. Stay tuned for record predictions, and we will be here very soon.